Now let's go back to the Caysen-Allison trial. As we reported first on 6 Plus this morning, Caysen-Allison has been found guilty of criminally negligent homicide. Allison was facing charges of murder and manslaughter as well, but was found not guilty of those.
So let's go live now to the Bell County Justice Complex with 6 News reporter Sydney Walker. Sydney, you've been in the courtroom every day since jury selection began. So what can you tell us about today's verdict?
After about 12 hours, over 12 hours actually, of deliberation from the jury, they came back with a verdict this morning, and that comes after 2 weeks of evidence, hearing from over 20 witnesses, photo, video, and audio evidence, lots of testimony to consider, and they came back and decided that Caysen-Allison had acted criminally negligent and resulted in the death of Joe Ramirez that day, almost 3 years ago to the day. The jury came back at about 10:45 a.m. today with their verdict, and they informed us to head into the courtroom, and they had been deliberating from 12:15 p.m. yesterday to about 9 p.m. last night when they requested to be sequestered. People piled into the courtroom anxiously awaiting, some even already crying. When Judge Faulkner entered at 10:50 a.m., he acknowledged these high emotions but reminded everyone that the court will not allow any verbal outbursts, disrespect, or standing out of seats, regardless of what the verdict says. Ultimately, the jury believed that the state proved beyond reasonable doubt that Allison had acted criminally negligent, resulting in the death of Joe Ramirez. Allison's defense team said that Allison's family was ecstatic.
The jury, by returning a verdict of criminally negligent homicide, has told us they didn't buy the state's argument that Caysen acted with intent to kill or even act with reckless disregard for life in that moment. They saw a young man scared, injured, reacting in a sudden, violent encounter that others initiated and escalated. This is not over. We move on to the sentencing phase. We will continue to fight for justice for Caysen-Allison, a young man who was trying to graduate, trying to avoid trouble. He was thrust into a terrifying situation, and this verdict acknowledges that what happened was a tragedy.
After Allison was found guilty of criminally negligent homicide, Allison's defense attorney, Zach Boyd, asked the judge if Allison's ankle monitor could be removed. The state objected to this and asked Faulkner to find his bond insufficient. The judge denied both of these requests. Allison had previously pled not guilty to all of the charges, but he now faces 6 months to 2 years in prison. And Judge Faulkner said that Allison will receive a pre-sentence from the probation office. He returns for that sentencing in June. Live in Belton, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
Sydney, thank you. The jury had multiple options to consider in this case, as you heard Sydney explain: murder, manslaughter, or criminally negligent homicide.
Criminally negligent homicide is classified as a state jail felony in Texas, typically punishable by 180 days to 2 years in a state jail facility. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson spoke with a legal analyst about what this verdict means and what comes next. What did you find out today, Juliana?
The verdict suggests jurors believed Caysen-Allison had no intention to kill Joe Ramirez, but took actions that went beyond what a reasonable person would have done in that situation. Throughout the trial, the defense team argued that Allison acted in self-defense and pointed to numerous inconsistencies in the police investigation. Legal analyst Liz Mitchell told 6 News that this verdict likely represents a carefully negotiated compromise among jurors who may have been divided on the case.
Often one of those cases that we refer to as splitting the baby. There were likely people on both sides of the fence. They were given many options, and sometimes it's best for jurors to come up with some sort of verdict. It might not feel like it fits perfectly into the elements of the offense, but it's ultimately a compromise.
Mitchell said when defendants claim self-defense, they're acknowledging their actions, but arguing they were legally justified. This shifts the entire focus of the case from whether the act happened to whether it was reasonable under Texas law. The consequences for Allison now hinge on whether the court makes an affirmative finding of a deadly weapon. Without such a finding, Allison could receive probation and avoid jail time. With it, he faces up to 2 years and possibility in a state jail facility with no possibility of probation. Now, Allison opted to have Judge Wade Faulkner determine his sentence rather than the jury. Mitchell said this decision reflects confidence that the judge will consider Allison's record and focus more on facts than emotions when determining the appropriate penalty in this case. In Belton, Juliana Jackson, 6 News.
Juliana, thank you. Now you can watch the full press conference with the defense attorney tonight on the 6+ streaming app. Hear attorney Zachary Boyd's reaction to the verdict, including his thoughts on similar cases around the state and his message to the community. That's at 6:30 or anytime exclusively on the 6+ app.